Marshall McLuhan. Perhaps you've heard the name, but why is he considered such a visionary when it comes to media? What makes him stand out from other media theorists? And why is his work still relevant in the age of Instagram and TikTok? Marshall McLuhan was a Canadian professor and media theorist who became famous in the 1960s for his radical ideas about how media, not just the content we consume, shapes our world. But McLuhan wasn't just talking about newspapers or radio programs. His focus was on how the technologies we use to communicate, what he called media, affect every aspect of society. Think about it this way. Reading a newspaper and scrolling through Instagram are two very different experiences, right? That's because, as Marshall McLuhan argued, the medium, the tool we use to communicate, changes how we process information. It shapes our experience of the message. This brings us to his most famous phrase: the medium is the message. But what does this expression really mean? According to McLuhan, the form of communication, whether it's a book, a television, or a smartphone, has a more profound effect on us than the content itself. The medium not only delivers the message, but it also creates its own experience, changing how we think, interact, and live. Let's take television as an example. When TV became popular in the mid-20th century, it didn't just give people a new way to consume news and entertainment. It fundamentally changed how we experience the world. TV brought the outside world into our living rooms in real time. Think about the moon landing in 1969. Millions of people watched Neil Armstrong take humanity's first steps on the moon at the same time. The content, Armstrong's famous words, was historic, but it was the medium, television, that created the shared experience. This brings us to today, when we can see McLuhan's theory in action on social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok. These platforms encourage us to communicate in specific ways through short visual bursts. The medium here, short-form videos and filtered images, does more than just carry the content. It shapes what kind of content gets shared, how we present ourselves, and even how we understand the world around us. But McLuhan's insights go even deeper. He argued that new technologies don't just change how we communicate, they also change our behavior and even our entire social order. Each new medium of communication reorganizes how we think, learn, and relate to others. When the printing press was invented, for example, it didn't just revolutionize books. It helped to create the modern concept of the individual. Reading a book is a solitary act, one that encourages personal reflection and a private relationship with ideas. In contrast, television and now social media are communal and immediate, encouraging fast, shared reactions instead of deep, personal reflections. McLuhan also introduced the idea of the global village, a concept which feels eerily accurate today. With digital media, the world has become more interconnected than ever. News spreads globally in seconds, and social media connects us across time zones and continents. But McLuhan warned that this global interconnectedness could come at a cost. In a global village, everyone knows everyone else's business. There's constant communication, but also constant surveillance. McLuhan anticipated that with new technologies of communication, we may lose privacy and individuality. One of McLuhan's most fascinating observations was that every new medium of communication extends some human capacity, but it also diminishes another. Social media, for example, extends our ability to connect with people instantly anywhere in the world, but it also diminishes our capacity for deep attention. Instead of focusing on one thing, we're constantly bombarded with new information, notifications, and distractions. McLuhan's work encourages us to take a step back and think critically about the technologies we use every day. Are we aware of how these media are shaping our lives, our thoughts, and even our values? Are we in control, or are we being controlled by the tools we use to communicate? Marshall McLuhan may have lived in the 20th century, but his ideas are more relevant than ever in our digital world. From social media to streaming services to generative AI, the mediums that we use to communicate and develop and spread ideas today are reshaping our reality.